live. Live.
Yep.
Should probably
Do the simultaneous sip. Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Cheers, everyone. Maybe you could turn that camera a little bit sideways.
Oh.
There you go. So, we were talking about topics we wanted to cover today. And I think that probably the most important one is that we're opening up Makeshift Homeschool to the world and making it free. Which is the same as what we already said in the title, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out now. No. I feel like I need to explain myself because some of the parents that are already signed up, they're like, why are you making this free? We already agreed to pay. And I was like, well, that's great. Keep your money. We don't need anybody's money. The reason why we initially wanted to charge is because we thought that by charging money, it would encourage parents to be more engaged. But a big reason why parents are signing up and kids are doing it is because the parents don't have time to be engaged.
Yeah.
That's a big pull.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, a lot of parents would want to do the kinds of projects that we're doing on makeshifthomeschool.com. I mean, it's really cool. The kinds of stuff that kids are doing in our school are going to help them do things like get into college or help them get a job. Like, it's like they're building a resume. They're building real things that they can sell, right? And so this is something that I think more parents would like to do, but they don't necessarily have the time to do it, or the resources, or they just haven't spent a lot of time thinking about all the different creative ways they can collaborate with their kids. We have, though. so for us, it's like, this is great. But I'd say the other big reason why we don't need to charge anymore is because we found that when kids are coming up with their project ideas, they actually like doing this with the whole school.
Mm-hmm.
And not just...
then it can be everybody just talking about the projects. Well, you're going to get more ideas, obviously, because there's more people. And then also, you get to know the other people in the school, and instead of just our family. And so I guess then you are able to see also other examples of projects.
Yeah,
instead of...
that's big.
Yeah, and so... It just seems like a better way for us to try to structure this, which is why we're deciding to structure it a little bit differently.
So we were doing these individualized meetings with new students where they would share their strengths and interests and passions with us, and then we would work with them to try to tailor that project. And we got really good at that. That was something that Sumi and I did that like a lot.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be unnecessary because if we just plug them into the school directly and then they just show up in these virtual classrooms and then they see the other kids presenting their new music and their recipes they're building and apps they're making and research that they're writing, and like they see all these examples, and then after that part's over, then your son or daughter will be free to just share what they find interesting and stuff they've done, stuff that they want to do. They can just talk about it, and then all the parents, and it's mostly kids. Parents don't usually join the virtual school. They can if they want, but other young people will then just react to that. They just get to react and be like, oh, that's cool. You do stop action photography? Well, I did that once, but what kind of software do you use? Oh, you should check this out. And then it's like this very organic, collaborative entrepreneurial sort of environment. And so we don't have to do this very labor-intensive one-on-one meeting thing anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the other thing that we're like, well, if we're gonna spend 10 hours a week doing personalized meeting with these kids, like there should be some kind of hurdle rate to get into that. But we don't need to do that now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We may end up having a lot of virtual classrooms though.
So we have decided on having 2 group meetings every sorry 2, not 3. 2 virtual like group meetings just so since we aren't having individual meetings, then let's say if someone picked a project and they knew it would go kind of fast, or they already like started it on school but never finished it, then they could then they get it done really fast, and then there's more group meetings for more people to kind of use this community that we've built, and these all the kids that are using Makeshift Homeschool to try to come up with more project ideas.
Right. Now, if we're going to scale it to the world, we might need more than 2 meetings a week.
Yeah.
But we'll solve that problem as it comes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, join Makeshift Homeschool. It's awesome. Oh, not only is it free, there's also no commitment, and there's also no like required schedule.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
you don't have to join every 2 meetings if one day like you have a lot of homework or it's just not a good day, then you can just not
you
come.
just don't come.
Or you can come for like the beginning and then just drop off because you have something else going on. And so
yeah, our approach is entirely, well, I say self-directed, but you're not in a vacuum. You're in this collaborative group of other young people and our family coming up with like projects and solutions, but it's all project based, and it's all like your project, you know, and so it's like it couldn't be more flexible, right? So there's some kids in our school that spend a lot of time doing this, like I'd say, you know, you're full time. Sume is a elementary school dropout.
Yep.
That's been our latest. Yeah, take that, Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
You know, you think you're so cool because you're college dropout. Elementary school dropout. Anyway, so Sume probably works like 50, 60 hours a week. Literally. She wakes up at 7. She gets all this ready, drags my butt out of bed, makes me coffee, puts it in my hand, sets up the whole studio. We do this. And then she's on Slack working with the other kids.
Also one thing is that we use Slack primarily to try to communicate, just because with emails you can get a lot more emails and then it's just so like buried within your email.
Yeah, Slack is great. So if you sign up, here's how easy this is to sign up. You go to makeshifthomeschool.com. You give us your name, your child's name, and their email address. You can give us your name too. We'll invite you too. We're not looking at the names going, who is that? Like, I mean, if it looks really weird, then we'd say something, I guess. But we know who all these people are so far. They're all friends and family. We stick your email address automatically into Slack for our virtual classroom, and then you get links to our virtual classroom invites. And then that's it. Then you show up and you just see what the other kids are doing, kind of like Montessori in a way. You just see, oh, we're supposed to actually like come up with creative ideas and make stuff and solve problems. Yay! And then you just do it too, right?
Yeah.
That's all you got to do. You just go to makeshifthomeschool.com, sign up, and then You get these invites, you're plugged into the system. And then your young person can, just start creating and building, and then they share what they made. So some of the time that they log into the virtual classroom, they'll just be seeing other students present their projects. If they have something that's ready to share, then they send it to us, and we put it up on the platform. And we're working on automating this too. So in parallel, we're building an app, and by we I mean mostly Sume at this point, to automate this process so that your young person can upload videos or papers or use our tool to actually build their own projects. So like this very flexible project building template machine. But right now they just send it to Sume, and Sume uploads it all. And then we can share that link in the agenda with all the other kids and parents. And then they present it. And then they get feedback from other kids or adults if they're on there. And then they may make some edits. Sometimes we edit the stuff as well, just to help out. And then sometimes we have some young people that want to show up on our TV show, like we did yesterday with Dr. Aaron Weiner. We want to have, there's some young folks that want to just join us in the morning and talk about their projects and actually broadcast it live. So that's different than the virtual classrooms. All the virtual classrooms are closed. So you have to sign up for Makeshift Homeschool in order to have access to that. We don't record those. We don't share those. It's like the safer environment, just the kids sharing, right? But some kids want to take it to the next level. We got some kids in our class that are making their own YouTube channels. So like clearly they're not bashful, right? So we're actually helping them just market and talk about building a brand and expanding their YouTube channel. One of them has more subscribers than we do.
Yeah.
No, we can learn from it.
Yeah.
It's great. Now can we talk about how college might be in trouble? I don't want to talk about it anyway.
Sure,
We'll just throw it on the back end after. This is so controversial, maybe nobody will see it.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, all right. Let's talk about something controversial and fun. I was talking to my dentist. She asked, oh, this is so funny now. I'm like Popo was with chestnuts, except I'm like this with education. Popo's my late grandfather who passed away. And everywhere he'd go, he'd talk about chestnuts. And my dentist, while she was getting ready to numb half my face to do a deep clean, I call it like the COVID clean, because I didn't go into the dentist for like 9 months. She was like, so what are your daughters doing for homeschooling? Or what are your daughters doing for schooling? And I'm sitting there and I'm like, my face is already starting to get numb, but I'm trying to talk to her about it. I'm like, oh man, I'm not sure you're going to be glad you asked me that question. And I can barely talk, but I just picked up my phone, went to makeshifthomeschool.com and started playing that intro video. And I was watching her face and her jaw just dropped. She's just like, whoa. And she's like, is that your daughter's presenting all this stuff? Like, and I was like, yeah. And she's like, I need to talk to my brother-in-law about this because his kid is spending like $50,000 a year to get a degree in English in college so that he can learn how to speak publicly. But your daughter's really good at public speaking and she didn't have to spend $50,000 to go to college for 4 years. And it was like...
I mean, it's just like so easy. You just like download Periscope and make an account, or just like Facebook Live, and then there's like YouTube Live.
I think colleges are in trouble, man.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many online courses too. Like, you want to learn about just like coding and stuff. There are like so many coding courses just on YouTube. You don't even have to pay for it. There's like this
Yeah.
one guy who made a 5-hour course on like the basics of Flutter.
So, like another another example is like you take all the work that we did over the past 2 years, and these are all projects, by the way, that you can either find on makeshifthomeschool.com or weekwell.com. Some of these were before Makeshift Homeschool.
Yeah.
But we did, as a family, we did like an in-depth research project on Tesla 18 months ago. And then we also did one on plant-based meat, including a survey, blind taste test survey.
Which audio is just
hurts some of the
brain.
Stuff was early on in our video making
it's not after
careers.
we've made like a bunch of videos. So
Sume's written like several 10-page plus length research papers on technologies like genomics and 3D printing. We did an in-depth analysis on solar panels and its relationship to the silver industry. Isla's upstairs right now doing like an in-depth research project on New Zealand. We might go visit New Zealand, maybe even potentially move to New Zealand someday. Like these things, so like why would you go and get an MBA? I guess is like, why would you spend money to go to a school for several years to get an MBA when I feel like the quality of the research that you're doing on these industries, which actually helps us to like make some investments.
Right, yeah. Like
this is powerful stuff. Like, at the drop of a hat, you could probably give lectures on like, intro economics and like, basic like business stuff. I mean, I just don't necessarily see how some of what we've learned with Makeshift Homeschool and the impacts on traditional education for young people, I don't see how some of this can't translate also into college, I guess is my point.
I mean, like with college, you can get these degrees to show, like, let's say you want to get a job, then you can show, like, oh, well, here's a degree to show that I know these things. But if you have a platform that is displaying your work, and it's a much broader set of things, like even some of the kids who are like mostly writing about history, for example, they sometimes branch out and just decide to write about something else. And it's like you can show that look at the things that I've made, and it's also just displaying it in a way that's not just, well, these people said that I know this.
Who would you rather hire? Somebody that has a degree that says that they know something, or somebody that has like this huge body of work that they've written about all these kinds of things and started their own TV show and talk about it, and you can literally see, if you want to, hundreds of hours of them articulating about concepts like, the future of 3D printing and how it's revolutionizing these industries and why, and like times that by like 50 other technologies, for example, and then they're like building apps and stuff. And you see all this stuff because it's like all out there. They like built a resume, it's online, versus the person that's got the piece of paper that says that they can do something. Like, is this...
That's a toughie.
Is it? But some people think that that's a tough question.
Yeah.
Like, I think one of the signs of a bubble, if you're looking for a bubble in anything, it's that everybody shares the same belief. Like, that kind of... There has to be sort of a convergence for you to have a bubble. So, like in the housing bubble, there was a converging belief that home prices can only go up. That was one of the beliefs.
Yeah.
And right now, there's kind of that same thing with higher education, and that if you talk to people that at least have the means of sending their kids to college, almost universally they believe that you're supposed to do that. And I think that college is good for a lot of people, but I think that belief, the
It's
universality
also,
of that
like,
belief is about to change. If
and
it hasn't
also the
already.
entire like education system is basically built around like getting you to college. Like I was in the middle school, like where you were supposed to like sign up, and they were talking about it, and they're just like, our first priority is to like get your kids ready for high school. And it's like, well then, and then just like in high school you're gonna get ready for college, and then it's just like,
And
but
then
they
college will get ready for you to do a job where you're told what to do.
Yeah, but it's kind of just like, I don't know, it's,
And then that way you can get married so that this other person can tell you what to do. And then you can have kids so they can tell you what to do. And then if you play all your cards right, you can do that for 30 years.
and then
You can finally do what you want.
Yeah.
It just seems like it's just like, there's another way. There is another way. And that way is makeshifthomeschool.com. Actually, no, that's not.
Yeah,
that's
no.
a little part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I actually think that the answer to that actually relates to the discussion we had yesterday with Aaron Weiner, which I thought went really well, by the way. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was this idea of, if you haven't seen that, I'd recommend that to anybody. It's the escape velocity.
It's only on
discussion.
Facebook because we can only do live Zoom calls to Facebook.
Well, we'll put it up on YouTube
Right, yeah.
sometime over the next few days. But the idea was like, is there a way to take your own, like create your own value set so that you can live your life in a way where creating something of value and giving back to society is not at odds with who you are and how you want to live your life.
Yeah.
And if you can find that perfect match, then it's like, woo, escape velocity. That's a separate discussion though. But yeah, this college bit, there's also all kinds of new technologies that and platforms that are being developed that are revolutionizing this. So
Yeah.
I'm still surprised that a lot of people haven't heard of Lambda School, even though this is really taken off. So Paul Graham at the Y Combinator, which is the most successful startup incubator in the world, funded a new higher learning platform called Lambda School, where they pay people to get a degree, usually in some kind of it started out as programming, some kind of software degree, but now it's branching out into other things too. And so you see a lot of stay-at-home moms doing this actually, where their kids will grow up and then they're looking around at their options, and it's like, well, I don't want to spend 4 years getting a degree in something, what if the world changes a lot by then, or do I actually need to go anywhere? Can't I just get my degree online? So the average salary coming out of Lambda School is over $100,000 a year. And it only takes like 6 to 8 months to actually get this degree. So the moms in here are just killing it. It's like, this is the perfect model. And they're getting paid to do it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
You get paid to go to school and get a degree. You get the degree in like 20% of the time. You get paid way more money. And you never have to leave, and go anywhere. You can just do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you have extra time, it's not like, well, classes are at 3:00.
No, it's
just
all
like
at your
whenever.
own pace.
Yeah.
Oh, you know about Lambda School also? Oh
You
yeah.
told me about it.
Oh yeah, and you're also
Told me
like,
about it like a year ago.
you're also like listening to Paul Graham stuff in your free time. You'll be like, oh, I wonder what Paul Graham's up to. It's great. That's fabulous. All right. So what's the catch on Lambda School? So they actually get paid something like, I think it's like 15% of your salary for the first 5 years or something.
Mm-hmm.
but you're getting paid $100,000 plus a year. Oh, and they don't take that 15% unless your salary is above some threshold. I think it's like 40,000. So the first 40,000, you keep everything. So they're incentivized
to do the best they can, because the only way that they're gonna get paid more if they educate you if they like teach you better, and then so you can get a better job.
Shake and bake.
There are probably like courses to help you get a job too, because what if they like teach you and then you're like really bad at interviews.
Right. So this is so Lambda School has been around for a few years, but it's basically started this wildfire. And so there's other companies coming out with like new tweaks on this new model. And all of these models, like, except for like a few niche, I think that there are a few niche disciplines where you need to go to a place and learn from those particular experts, like surgery, for example.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You're not going to be online
you can't
learning
really just
surgery. Right? What are some other ones? That might be it.
I don't know, maybe maybe engineering, because if you go to college they would like have all
whatever
tools.
You could totally do engineering on all the
Yeah,
engineering is
you
3D
have all these
modeling. It's what you're doing.
Yeah,
it's what you're doing already.
And you can just 3D print the pieces to like some online thingy.
So like basically the vast majority of the things you would learn in college.
Basically all of the things that like require some materials that you wouldn't easily be able to get access to.
So one of the things that I was told by...
If you like live in an apartment, then maybe you wouldn't do well like trying to learn forestry.
Oh, forestry. Yeah, that's another good one.
Yeah.
You should go to a place that has forests to learn about forestry. I agree with that. So unless you're learning forestry or surgery, you pretty much can do a lot of... So the other aspect of this would be like, how do we collaborate with other people and socialize? Which I think is a little bit funny, this argument. Because your mom and I... Well, we met in college, so that would actually be an argument for like going to college to socialize, right?
Yeah.
But when other people talk about socializing, they seem to think a lot more about these like frat parties and like, you know, partying, right? Or like your mom and I didn't actually do a heck of a lot of socializing. Like we kind of
while you're in college, it's not like while like your professor was lecturing and stuff, you guys were talking. It's kind of counter.
It was the same argument that people gave us about how like if you homeschool, like how do you socialize kids? But you know, with these virtual classrooms that we're doing
with school, it's basically recess and lunch, and then all the other time you spend talking is not allowed, I guess. And so it's kind of
you were getting in trouble for socializing.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
It's just like if the teacher's talking about something I already know, and then I start talking to my friend, then apparently that's
bad.
Really bad.
It's really bad.
It's really bad.
So it's like, well, what you can socialize outside of the time that you're learning stuff.
But it's not really integrated within each other, which is also what we're trying to do with Makeshift Homeschools. You can learn and socialize with people because you're working on different things, which makes it a lot more interesting. It's like, oh, what are you doing, Sally? The same thing I am? That's cool. Like, there's not a lot of questions you're gonna ask them because they're all doing the same thing.
I really like that point.
Uh-huh.
That relates to another conversation we were having about friendship and and shared deep interests.
Uh-huh.
So, like, Sume showed up to a birthday party. We won't say whose birthday party.
Yeah.
But do you want to tell them?
Which birthday party?
The one where they were like, you were on a call. It was during the lockdown. It was during 2020. and you were on this call,
and
it was
everyone was playing Roblox. I've never been into Roblox. I played it once, and I just did not enjoy it. And so everyone was like talking about like stuff that I wasn't really interested in, and so I was basically, this was like
it was like very shallow, like there was no real depth or substance. It was just
this was in the super
socializing.
This was in the super early stages of Makeshift Homeschool, so I just whooped up my computer and then started working on the design and Google Slides for the app.
I think that I think the point here is that there's different levels of quality in human interaction, right?
Yeah.
Just putting a bunch of kids in a room or sticking a bunch of, 10-year-old girls on a Zoom call together and having them, like, say goofy stuff for an hour.
Yeah.
This isn't necessarily, like, your highest quality.
Yeah.
But you
didn't really learn anything. Yeah.
Well, I think that there's some things you learn that are actually bad. Like, I had to unlearn a lot of stuff that I learned in, like, junior high school about what's cool and what's not when I went to high school and then college. But, like, you put 10 kids in a virtual classroom where they're talking about things that they're creating and writing and building and problems that they're solving. Like, they're also interacting, but they're also building things and like, inspiring each other. And, that's... And by the way, we didn't have to, like, do some exclusivity test in order to make that happen.
Yeah.
The way that I think a lot of colleges are set up. Like, people kind of... That's one reason why I think people like college, is that they get to have this exclusivity test. So, this is especially true for people that go to, like, Ivy League schools and stuff. They can be like, oh, I went to Harvard. And it's just like... And it's like... Basically, it's like... If you're not in that, then people in that group, they get to look at people not in that group. It's like a form of tribalism, just like... Yeah,
I mean, I think just with schools, like, so much is built around these tests, and I don't know, I just feel like, I mean, it's just an easy way to just kind of like, oh, okay, I'm doing fine. Great. Like, and then
you can satisfy mentally and be like, shoo, I'm doing the thing that everybody says that I should do.
Yeah.
Now I don't have to think for myself.
And it's like,
I think that's like, right though.
And people like, it's if they don't need to be worried that they're falling behind because I got an A on this test, so I'm fine. And it's not. It's really easy to just satisfy to make sure that you're like you're not like falling behind or anything.
To satisfy the mental need to have somebody tell you that you're doing fine.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Even if it didn't really have that much thought put into it.
Even if it's completely wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you have... So for example, if somebody gives you a degree from a school that says that you know economics.
Right.
Well, then, you just stop learning about economics because you have this piece of paper that says you know economics? Like,
no, I'm done. I learned economics.
Yeah. And we were telling the story about how this is the one grade that Sume got before she left school that wasn't a perfect score, was in economics. Even though that's like something that she knows probably more than like 99% of the adults that I know, given how much she's written about it and the things that she's been doing.
And you're an economist, and Mommy's an economist, and
we've been talking and living and breathing economics like ever since you were a little baby on the ground. Like, man, your first phrase was diminishing marginal utility.
Really?
No. So I ripped up her report card and walked out of the room and was like, this is bullshit. And then the next day we took her out of school.
And then, no. And then we had to tape it together because you need to give report cards to Taekwondo.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's great. So
you're
your Taekwondo teacher...
report card taped together.
Did Sume get angry?
at her report card?
The dog tried to eat it. My dad tried to eat my report card. So yeah, I think that colleges help satisfy people's.
But also, if you take a course and it gives you this and it's also you can just see your progress and see the things that you know and do not know. I think that still works the same way.
It does, except that I think that there's
it's more information involved. And
it's more informational and
it's
as opposed to trying to be this arbiter of truth.
Yeah. And
Stamp,
it's kind of
you know, econ.
Yeah.
Stamp, you are allowed to do surgery.
Or you can just see I know these, I have these to learn, and then it's just
I think that there are some areas like surgery where you actually really need that. You need you need to have a really high threshold, and you need experts that peer review and decide if you know something.
Whether or not it's not just so you gotta, just.
But that's more the exception than the rule, right?
Right, yeah.
Writing. Why on earth do we have somebody give you grades on writing? You should write. Yeah. Everybody should just have their own blog, and then if people read your blog, then it's good. Or if people write comments that say this is crap, then it's probably crap.
Yeah, and it's also mostly grades on whether or not you got your grammar or your spelling correctly, and you're writing this all down, but you have spell check and Grammarly and stuff, and it's that all is just automatically fixed for you. But when you're writing on paper, of course you can screw that up, and it's not necessarily. I don't think I've really gotten any comments on the quality of my writing and stuff, although that's really the thing that people care about. And if you're writing on a computer, then you don't really have to worry about spelling and grammar.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess if I were to make a prediction, the prediction is that you're going to have more and more people realize that they can be very successful and make better use of their time and money not going to college, because it's just so easy today to show potential customers and employers that you have skills and that are, a powerful person just by using all the platforms. And a lot of those same platforms are basically the platforms that we're using at Makeshift Homeschool. You're building your resume for if you wanted to get into college, or if you wanted to start your own business and raise capital, or if you wanted to go work for some company. You are building a really awesome resume right now. And frankly, I think that the resume that you are developing is going to be far more useful to a potential employer, or some funding round for a startup, than a piece of paper that says that you know something. At the end of the day, that is going to matter way more for the jobs that are actually better jobs. People aren't going to pay you good money or invest in your startup because you have a piece of paper. They're going to want to believe in. They're going to want to bet on you.
If we went up to Shark Tank or something, it's just so why should we invest in your business?
You're
I got this piece of paper.
Ignore the tape. Ignore the tape. So, and that's a different way. And yeah, the internet basically is part of why that's changing. Mm-hmm. The fact that you can make movies about how to use 3D printing to build some of the things that you're building, and the fact that you can publish a book on Kindle did, you couldn't have done that before. Mm-hmm. And now you just can. Mm-hmm. You can just build the app that you want.
Yeah.
So anyway, Makeshift Homeschool is now free and open to the world. We are.
Sign up at makeshifthomeschool.com.
We love doing this. It's so great. It's like every new student that comes on when they show up at this school, at our school, and they start to see, wait a minute, nobody's telling me what to do. People are just creating stuff that they find awesome, and then they share it. This is awesome. Like, after a few of these projects, you're basically, they're so hooked and they're learning so fast and creating things that you would have never thought possible.
And they're able to see their profile, and since it has their name on it, then they really do want to put in everything they got.
Yeah.
Because you're actually sharing this with the world. It's not just
and not just like some faceless world. They share it with their peers in our virtual classrooms first, right?
Yeah.
Then they share it with the world. Then their parents are sharing with other people on social media. They're getting feedback, right? And their parents are like, "Wow, I didn't know you could write." And their kids are like, "I didn't know either." You know? And once they do a few of these, like, you're basically done at that point. You just don't screw it up at that point as a parent.
Yeah.
Like, you're not sitting there holding their hand, dragging them, you know, fighting with them to get your homework done. Like, you know, you're done with that now after they love learning and creating and collaborating with other kids to do actual real things instead of made up stuff. So yeah, makeshifthomeschool.com. All right. Shake and bake?
Sure.
Shake and bake.